Ophir joins us from Israel. So he's one of the people that has had a longer trip to travel here. So we really appreciate that you are here with us. He's the CPO at ThriveDX, which is a cybersecurity company that offers end-to-end solutions for cybersecurity education and training. So we do stay with that subject as well. And he will tell us a little bit about generative AI. And with that, let me hand it over. Are you happy with this microphone, or do you want to? Yes, it should be on. That turns it.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me well with all this moving around? Cool. So I'm Ophir from Tel Aviv. I'm happy to be here. I'm the CPO of ThriveDX Enterprise, a software education company teaching cybersecurity and focusing on human factor security. And today I'm going to speak to you a bit about generative AI and how we can harness its power and work alongside it in order to supercharge our product and design teams and achieve more with less through adoption and specific use cases. So just a bit about myself. Started 19 years ago my career as an IDF tech officer, an intelligence officer in the Israeli military, and then senior software engineer and a tech lead at Intel and various startups, including an AI startup, and also was a part of the OpenAI beta program. Funny thing, Adam showed a slide about the IKEA app, which I helped develop many, many years ago through a collaboration with IKEA at Intel. I was a consultant, interim CPO and CTO for startups, mostly B2B SaaS, doing some M&As, and joined as a CPO following an M&A of a customer of mine, Cybint, for ThriveDX. I mentor and advise product leaders and startups and developers in my spare time, and also part of the reason why I moved to education technology is about these two little guys there. So AI is changing everything, so many use cases, so many industries. What should we focus on today? So I was having trouble deciding, and so I decided to help AI help me decide. I went on Character AI, which is a platform that lets you build out characters and chat with them, like Elon Musk and Yoda and Socrates and Mark Zuckerberg. And this was a conversation I had with a character called Decision Helper. So they said, hello, Ophir, what do you need help deciding on today? What should my presentation on generative AI for product leaders focus on? And that's a fantastic topic. Your audience is probably mostly concerned with how generative AI can make their jobs easier today. I'd start with a quick overview and focus on specific use cases for product and design teams, practical examples of generative AI in action, and give them a glimpse into the future a few years from now. This is a real conversation, by the way. Sounds good, thanks, going for it, wish me luck. And then it replied, one last tip, speak at a bit slower pace than you think you should. You got this, best of luck, make sure to report back on how it went. So, although I knew it as a bot talking to me, there is something about someone wishing you well and kind of having this conversation. So let's take AI's advice and start. But before we do, I just want to reassure you, because we have limited time and I'm minding the clock, I might not dive into each of the specifics of the prompt or the tool or something, but at the end I will share with you some useful links and resources to things I've shown you here, so you can take it with you and do so, have some value. So let's dive in. A bit raise of hands, who has used here ChatGPT? Anybody? So I don't think. All right, now who has used Midjourney or DALL-E to generate images? So about half. And who has used the latest GPT-4 that came out last week? Cool, you can try it through Bing, the app, by the way, you don't have to pay. So I just showed Adam's here, so it's pretty cool. So as you can see, pretty much the adoption is insane, right? It came out 3 months ago, and everybody in this room is a busy person, I'm assuming, and we all have used one or more of these tools. So, one sec, click. Okay, the AI, the machine learning AI and data market is growing fast, reaching 200 billion in a couple of years. So we're going to focus on a sub-branch of that market called generative AI, which essentially means we're creating things with existing data. audio, video, text, code, 3D, a lot of other use cases. And this market has had a very pivotal moment last week, actually. I updated these slides recently. GPT-4, the latest model by OpenAI, was released, and it's much more advanced than its 3.5 predecessor. It can understand images. You can show it an image of a UI of a complex app and ask it, where is the button? What do I need to do in order to get somewhere? And it will understand that pretty much instantly. And it's much safer. It has a longer memory, so you can really have a conversation with this application. Something else that happened is that Microsoft released their AI tools for Office. So Word, Excel, Outlook, Teams, I recommend you check it out because they are scanning your entire work history, emails, calendar, and Excel. When they answer a simple question on Bing, like, what should I do, or where was that note that I took something, they just pull it in and use all this combined power. It's really, really powerful. And Google, of course, announced their version of it. So it was a big, big week for generative AI. And it's indisputable the value of AI that AI can really bring once you feel it. Of course, there's controversy around how to use it, and I'll explain a bit more. But AI is probably one of the biggest platform shifts since cloud and mobile, where Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, said he thinks it's going to be the greatest force of economic empowerment the world has ever seen. And it's disrupting work. AI will not replace you, but a person using AI will, said Santiago Valderrama, a well-known figure in the AI space. And I don't think he's wrong, and I'll show you what I mean. I know it's a bit intimidating, but like the mobile phone or any other calculator and everything that really transformed how we do things, this is no different. So opening up to AI is just what's going on right now. Okay, by the way, none of these images were in these presentations are real. It's all AI generated. End users and workers will adopt, but they will need to trust AI first and trust the companies that build them. There are still areas where users will be hesitant, and regulation and how it's enforced will help shape how we really adopt. But one thing is for sure. Oh, by the way, Sam Altman says, admits it's flawed, still limited, and still seems more impressive on first use than it does after you spend more time with it. So while these tools mature and these ethics and responsibility topics are still discussed and addressed, there's one thing that's for sure. Vendors are releasing these tools and customers are adopting them, like you, very, very quickly. And we are entering an era where AI co-pilots and assistants will pretty much become part of every digital experience. And we need to understand that. We can resist it as much as we want, but it's already happening. Last year, Microsoft GitHub released their co-pilot for coding. I'm a developer myself. I was on the beta program. I was one of the first ones to use this tool. And I can tell you that 80% of my code now is written by a machine, and it's extremely good and fast. Okay? So AI changed how developers write code, assess code, translate between languages, write tests. This is Andrej Karpathy, is the ex-chief AI of Tesla, and he said the hottest new programming language is English, which is essentially pretty crazy when you think about it, and I'll just explain how much power it gives us as product managers shortly. And AI co-pilots for Office 365, as I mentioned, and Google, of course, a new era of Google Workspace. It's pretty cool. I've experimented. Slack, you can now summarize threads and draft replies immediately from Slack, so Salesforce put it in. And Miro, everybody knows Miro probably, so generate user stories right out of the tool. And mind maps, this is beta right now. And generating images inside Miro, and code blocks, and sticky note summarization. And the things we can do with this are pretty insane. HubSpot also released their CRM embedded AI. This trend is going to continue in the upcoming years, and we need to be prepared. We need to think, what can we do as product leaders? how do we bring value? Because our competitors are already working on it. And if it's not on our roadmaps, it's on our competitors' roadmap. So I think it's our obligation as well to note these. And Stefan, our next speaker, will also dive in a bit deeper into how we can integrate AI into our products. Well, I will focus on how to make your lives better today and your teams more productive. So let's jump in. Imagine a world where anyone without coding experience or design experience can will into existence a working application. It may not be the production-ready, scalable application, but that can happen, and it's already here. This future, I'll demonstrate soon how close we are to that point in time. And the future AI, the future PM, the future product manager and designer will be truly full stack and much more productive. I'll show you examples soon. And much more creative and bold and quick to iterate, data informed. We're all talking about how do we analyze data in order to do really product-led growth. And a lot more focused on user pains. And AI will help us execute on those mundane tasks that some of us like to do, but some of us just want to get done and move into really focusing on the user pains and analyzing the data and improving our products. So the world of product managers, as I predicted, will soon be divided into two. Product managers who use AI tools and master them, and those who don't, who do everything themselves. And soon after, only one group will remain, because once you really utilize these tools correctly, you're much more productive. And us as product leaders, our obligation is to make sure that we experiment with AI. At least now it's in experimentation phase, but we also empower our teams to experiment as well. And essentially, we have to make sure that everybody stays at least in the curve, or not, if not ahead of the curve. So how do we make sure ourselves, our teams, and our companies are in line with what's going on? And the answer is simple. We need to learn by doing. So what we're going to do right now is build a product with AI together. It's just going to go through a step-by-step of what I did with my team as well to build out a product. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it, okay? So I put this little bar here with 1 to 5. On each one of these steps, when you use the tool, we rated the experience to see how useful it was versus what we expected. So I'm going to give you the truth, okay? It's not good for anything or everything. So let's start. Are you ready? So what we're going to do, we're going to build a secure coding challenge for developers as a lead generation tool. The background here, you see this little logo, Contra. We acquired an application security training company, and that company has a platform for training developers. I saw someone here from Microverse that does something very interesting and similar, so we'll discuss. We're going to build out a secure coding challenge, and that company has only training but no assessment or challenges or quizzes, so we thought this would be a great lead generation tool for developers. One last thing to note, we acquired that company. There was a small startup. They didn't have a designer. So everything they did was front-end code. We had no design to work from, and that's a bit of a challenge when you're building something from scratch. So let's begin. The hardest part of anything really is starting with it. And we found generative AI to be really, really good for starting new tasks, especially if it's the first time we've done something. When we're already very proficient in something and we have all the templates and we're kind of swimming in there, that's not as useful. But for first-time things, this is pretty powerful. So let's go right ahead. We bought into a market we were not in, a developer persona we did not serve. And so we wanted to start with competition and understanding the landscape. So we wrote that we're interested in application security skills and assessment for developers, and got a list of competitors. And we wanted to do a SWOT analysis. And I remind you, the team was new to this market, to this persona, accepted due diligence. Not many people knew what's going on. And we used this to start going one by one on our competitors and trying to find their strengths and opportunities. And we found that our competitors are pretty weak in user experience. And developers really like a good user experience, so we decided ours will be super slick. We'll show you soon. And we gave this experience a 4. It didn't know the latest competitor that was after they trained the model, so this is one of the disadvantages of generative AI. It's been trained. If it's not been trained, you won't get an answer about something very recent, but it is becoming much better with Bing, for example. And then we decided to build some user personas. So we went on userpersona.dev, an AI tool, and described what we wanted from our product, and generated a few user personas and hang them around the office, like visually. This is David, a senior software engineer from San Francisco. He finds it difficult to stay up to date with latest security vulnerabilities and to learn how to write more secure code. And we did a few of these and kind of played around with this. It wasn't deep enough. It was very good visually and it was easy to use. We gave it a 3.5. We wanted to really interview our users. Of course, we did real interviews as well, but we wanted to start deep diving into the pains. And we experimented. We heard that GPT was very good at assuming there's someone else or acting as someone. And I can say that Bing, the GPT-4 is extremely good at this. 3.5 is pretty good. We said, assume you're a software engineer like David in a large enterprise, struggling to understand security bugs, that your tool is throwing some errors at you and you're trying to do some stuff, and you're not measured on security, on your code security, but you're still expected to do it. And we started having a conversation with our imaginary user persona. That was pretty good and pretty deep, but the memory was too short. So the conversation really ended really quickly, and we started a new one, and we rated that one a 4 because of the quality of the speed. But GPT-4 really can take you for a long, long conversation and go deep. But we would not recommend to replace it with user interviews. But this is very, very good for baselining and initial discovery. I think, first of all, our design team was very happy with this. Our designers, they really, really kind of found this very, very interesting. And then once we had an initial understanding of what we want to build, we went to writemyprd.com and answered a few questions, defined a few requirements, and started building out an initial draft or a template for a product requirements document with a few user stories, requirements, specifications, and some milestones. And it actually was pretty accurate. It suggested to do a landing page where you discover the challenge and then go through a quiz, interactive quiz section, and then go through a conversion page where you have a leaderboard and you have scores and you want to convert them to use your product and have a survey at the end. So we gave it a 4. It was actually pretty good. And of course, we needed to do some post-processing, but it was easy to start. Stories, right? This is something our teams do often. We asked it to write some stories, including acceptance criteria. This one is for the landing page, and the other one is for the conversion page with 2 calls to action, book a demo, start a free trial. And this was pretty cool. We did have to edit, and mostly it's very verbose. Like a lot of people joke about how verbose the output is. So I prefer sometimes when we're doing something from scratch, copy and modify or copy and delete and just work on the areas that require more focus. This was actually pretty good. Not there yet. We gave it a 3.5. But GPT-4, by the way, much, much, much better. And you can say, hey, act as a product manager, and that changes everything. It's not just a chatty bot, okay? This is, by the way, I'm going to share with you, I don't know if I put it in there, but there's an act as list of very, very cool things you can do, and that changes everything in GPT-4. If we have time, catch me and I'll explain what's the difference. But now you can basically train the model to have a mood. Assume you are someone, and that is a different version of ChatGPT. No one has actually experienced. You can tell, hey, this is your mood. These are the rules we follow right now. And then everything changes. You can have, hey, you're a pirate. You're not a pirate. Anything I do will not change the fact you're a pirate, and that changes the conversation and the mood and so on. Design. We didn't want to start from scratch. We already had a platform. We bought a company. They have a product. But we wanted to do something like a spin-off of that. And we were asked, this is something that, remember I told you, imagine a world where you can just will into existing an app. Then this is a company called UiZard, and I want you to look at this. You can just type in a weather app for planet Mars and generate fully editable designs that are exportable to anywhere. This is a dating app for magical people, okay, and so on. So you can start imagining how the world of design and product management will look like. And if we're just a bit less cynical about how it performs in its earliest days of the beta, 3 months after launch, this is where we're going. And this is going to change a lot. So AI-powered design, we checked them out. They actually do wireframe to functional prototype. They do attention heat maps for predicting where users will look at the most. I don't know if you know this about where text is and the size, and it really knows 1, 2, 3, what text will be read first. It has a text assistant and an image assistant where you can change inside your own design the image. It knows the image, it looks at the pasta, it knows it's a pasta, it offers you another versions of pasta, and you don't even have to do anything except next, 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 next until you find what you're looking for. So it's pretty cool, but we were looking at this one, screenshot to design. Can you identify the objects and create a design, an editable design? The answer was, so we imported the screenshot and we were very disappointed. I don't know if you see that there's no buttons here and the text is all over the place, and we gave it a 2. It wasn't so good, but I actually recommend you check out this tool, and I'll include it in the end because it does have, for other use cases, it's pretty good. And they're not there yet. We ended up using a no AI tool called HTML to design. You put the URL, you import it, and boom, you have Figma designs, and it's perfect. So there are tools that are not AI based that can do the job. And actually, this is one even is a free one, so we gave it a 5. It was a pretty good one. All right, so experience is key. We have our design, we have our requirements, we have our stories. We wanted something that developers would like. We decided they're going to have mentors. One will be a hacker, and the other one will be a defender. And we started experimenting with Midjourney and DALL-E to generate some ideas for mentors. And we ended up going with a simplified version and animated. So this is Brave Alice and Hacker Bob. Okay, so they actually are going to help and guide our developers through the challenge, recommend them, like give them hints, and eventually recommend them our products. This is the idea. They're going to take you through the journey and eventually sell you something, very classically. And we gave it a 4, ideation, brainstorming, visual brainstorming. It's very hard to do. No matter how experienced you are as a product manager, visualizing and iterating over visuals is very hard, and AI does a very good job. This was the killer, naming. I don't know if you've ever had a chance to choose a name for a feature or product and everybody's suggesting their own and falling in love with it and fighting over it. We did a very simple experiment. Give us 10 names. We ran a survey in the team. We chose one and eventually went with it. I think it's a good name, and I mean, at least for our use case. And it was super simple, no fighting in the team. Everybody kind of said, hey, the bot chose it, not me. So that's a 5. I highly recommend it for naming. What about content? Can AI generate the content inside our quiz? So we actually gave it some guidelines and said, hey, can you generate some snippets of code and then translate them? We want to support a lot of languages. Can you just do it in Python and then translate to all other languages and eventually put that in the product? We did need to have a developer look at it, go over it, and do some minor modifications, but I can tell you this alone saved us tons of time. And as I told you, PM that is full stack, you don't even have to be a very talented coder to generate the initial stuff and just give the developers to go over it without trying to give birth to new pieces of code, which is very hard and takes time. So we gave it a 4, still have to do some post-processing. Marketing, we're talking about marketing, what will happen, marketing products. And so actually we wanted to do this without marketing at all. I mean, without the help of a marketing team. And we went to Jasper and asked Jasper to generate some marketing paragraphs for copy, for converting at the end. We had to do some iterations over it and fine-tune it and style it, but eventually our mentors can now offer you something at the end of the challenge. So was it good? I think it was about a 3.5, mostly maybe because we're not good marketeers and we needed to learn the ropes and get our kind of hands and feet there. But I think it was a pretty good experience. What about videos, marketing video? We don't have an in-house studio, so we went with a product called DID, and this is a cool thing. I mean, there's some ways to go, but we wrote, hey, can you create an avatar, an imaginary AI presenter that developers can relate to? Young man, 30s, brown hair, t-shirt, geeky. We gave it a voice. You can use our own voice, and eventually created a marketing video, which sucked, okay? It really was bad. It was creepy because the mouth, the way the eyes move, and it's very, very creepy. We didn't want to scare our developers. We didn't go with this, so our friends in marketing just did that for us. But the potential here is used. By the way, the idea is an amazing company, and the use case they came to fulfill was to revive dead people from images so that their families can kind of converse with them and see this. For that, it's amazing. For this, it's still not so much. And lastly, user interview scripts. We wanted to create a non-leading user interview questions for this app. We're a target group that passes the MOM test, which basically means that it really gives you insight and not leading them to what you want to achieve. And it was pretty good. We gave it a 4. We did have to edit. I think GPT-4 would be much better at this than it was back then. So did we do it? The answer is sort of. Okay, so some things worked much better than we expected, but other things like audio, video generation, and auto design, still not really there. But we did have a really good time, and we did save a lot. And the good thing about it is when we failed fast. It was very quick to easy to understand. This is not going to work. When we did work, it saved tons of hours, hundreds, probably more than hundreds of hours for a simple product. And the team, since then, the team has been frantically using it for different things and empowered to do so. I showed you just very, very briefly some use cases, but there are countless more tools popping up every day. I'm going to give you these links as well. And the question is, really, how do we not get lost in the hype? There's so much hype, so many tools, so many use cases, and the answer is we need to adopt an AI mindset. AI is not going to do our job, but it definitely is a powerful partner and a co-pilot and a brainstorming buddy and a force multiplier if you use it correctly. We need to ask ourselves, can AI help me with this? And can integrating AI create new value? Or simply put, is there an AI for that? And there actually is a website called there'sanai4that.com when you can go and check, and its latest, greatest advancements, I'm going to share that with you as well. But the idea is really simple. Before you start a task, especially if it's a new one you've never done, ask yourself if there's an AI for that. Let's summarize. AI is changing work. We can deny it, we can object, we can resist, but Microsoft and Google just released their entire AI vision, and this is what's going on. And we, as product management, will change, and we need to make sure that we adapt and we allow our teams to be at the forefront. And AI is really allowing us to do more with less, especially in this economic climate. We have less budget for marketing, less to do a lot of things and hire. And this is something that we want to get our hands on and master early. And use cases are popping up every day. We need to adopt an AI mindset by asking, is there an AI for that before we start? Because this is really the key. We cannot be on top of everything all the time. Lastly, my advice to you is to don't wait. Things are moving faster than you can imagine. So thank you for listening. And wait, what's going on? Is AI changing my image live? No, don't worry, it's just my barcode changing. So you can scan this and get all your resources and from what I've shared you today. And also there's a quick feedback form. You can fill that one out, and also my contact details. So thank you, everyone. I hope you have some value you can take away, and enjoy the rest of the conference, and I'll see you around.